Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of PhotoBiz Live. This is Danny from the PhotoBiz team, and today we're going to be joined by Lou Everling, and he is going to be teaching us about LinkedIn today. And Lou's got a great presentation planned for us. He's actually going to just show us live demonstration, which, for me, I'm a big fan of. You're going to get to see a lot of visual aspects, and we're going to work on our pace to keep everything at a nice and medium rate so you can take notes and view all the different graphics that are coming up on your screen. So if this is your first time joining us today and you have any questions about the system that we're going to be using today and you're having any difficulty hearing Lou, you can go ahead and just use the comment box to message myself directly here. We are going to be recording the webinar, and it will be available for replay on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/photobiz. So be sure to click on subscribe whenever you get there. And for all of you social media fans out there that are on Twitter, if you have any questions or you want to join in on today's discussion, you can use the hashtag #PhotoBizLive. So I'm going to just give Lou a quick introduction. And Lou has been a member of PhotoBiz for, I believe, over 3 years now, and he is a professional photographer, also an expert at social media. He's a speaker. He does graphic design. He really does education for businesses on social media and photography. He kind of is all over the place and does a great job at everything. And I've had an opportunity to work with him in the past on multiple webinars, and every session has been great. So you guys are in for a treat today. And I know that today's session is going to be really, just great information you can take home and use right away with your business. So this webinar is going to help you out understanding kind of the basics of LinkedIn, and I'm sure Lou will be showing you just really how you can use LinkedIn to make those connections that are going to help your business that you may have overlooked. So Lou, how are you doing today?
I am wonderful, Danny. How about you?
I'm doing great. Life is good, and I'm excited to hear what you have planned for us today.
Good, me too. It's crazy how effective LinkedIn can be, because I was one of those that had an account but never really monitored it until about this time last year and really started working it, and then I've watched my connections from, about 100 last year grow to almost 700 this year. So, and then being one of the top 5% profiles on LinkedIn as far as being viewed and with its connections and workability. So kind of a cool thing that LinkedIn did as they hit the 200 million mark. They emailed people letting them know what percentile they stood in as far as effective profiles. So not bad for 11 months worth of work on a few things. So we're going to try to show you guys some stuff today that'll help you beef it up and help you get connected to those that can help you in your community and bring you more work and more connections and other things that you're looking for.
All right. Well, I'm excited today. I'm going to be taking notes. I've got a pencil and paper handy, and we'll really just let you jump right into things. So I'm going ahead and let you take over the reins.
Sounds good. Thanks so much. I want to thank everybody for joining you. I just can't say enough good things about the gang at PhotoBiz and everyone. I recently had the opportunity to meet everyone. Not everyone, but I've over the last couple of years got to meet several of the staff, and this at the PPNC convention got to meet Jen and Carl and Vance, and just what great people. I just can't say enough good things about them. So I really appreciate you guys having me on here. So as we look at the profile here on LinkedIn, you're just going to see it's kind of like what we see as a Facebook kind of thing, similar, but it's a little bit smoother opportunity. You're not overrun with ads. You're not overrun with really negativity. I look at LinkedIn as more your professional site where things are kept positive, on a positive note. Stories are shared. There's lots of good things that can help you in everyday business, whether you're looking for social media information or marketing or branding. There's just tons of help here, and you can follow people, follow companies, and then folks can chime in and make your post to what you're doing for the day as well. And a lot of these things actually build to your search engine as well. So it's very effective in the way LinkedIn ties in with Google. As you'll see here, this share and update is a lot like what we have on our Facebook, but I can also then choose who I want to share this update with. I can share it across all of LinkedIn or with connections, so I could just change that. Or I can actually put it to LinkedIn and Twitter. So everything I do in my social media is I try to tie things together so I'm not spending multiple times on Twitter. I don't have to make a post here, go over there and make a post, go here and there and make a post, and I'm not using multiple suites of software either. So all these things are free things. So I just want to say, shout out to the gang at PhotoBiz, and we'll put a little @ in there so that on Twitter it will recognize them as well. And to all that are watching the webinar or tuned in. So, oops, if I could get my spelling right. Then what we would do is we're actually gonna get you guys to beef up your sites, because what I do a lot of is, too many times I was like everybody else. I, for the longest time, had a LinkedIn profile. Rarely did I post it. I would go in and accept a friendship request or a connection request, but I didn't put things over there. Really didn't even read stuff that was there. One of the first and foremost things, though, I can't stress enough, is the important about having a good profile image inside your profile. So as we look over here, I'm going to go to the View My Profile. You're going to see right here, we've got basically this right here. We can improve our profile. So a lot of times you'll see on a person's profile, they'll have absolutely nothing listed in here. So right here it's going to show your activity right here. So I can show all the things that I've posted. It shows who I've been connected to, stories that I've chosen to share and move around. And I share those across multiple areas. And then up here is your most vital part. This is where you can edit your information. So I've got, if you've got a hub statement or a tagline that you utilize in your business, make sure you include that in here. I also put in, my area where I'm at. What my current position is the coolest guy in the Midwest, and I always chuckle about that because Google says so. If we just Google it, it comes up. Some of my images come up there. We put our education in here, and then you can also name your LinkedIn profile just like we can our Facebook pages. So then we can open up our contact information. Oops, I don't have that correct address in there, I guess. But so we got email accounts, what my Twitter handle is, some other websites that I would have. My Facebook page is all in there. You can close that up. You can view that on anybody's information when you look at their profile. Just open that up there. And then what you're going to do is you also want to have down here, we have all of our recommendations. We got recommendations. We'll talk about those in a little bit as well. But we also have our job experience. So one of the things right in here, you want to list your jobs, your work experience. And if you work for yourself, you are working for yourself. List that in there as what you do. If you're a consultant, like when I do various speaking engagements and consulting jobs, those are also work experiences. So make sure to list those in there. When you utilize those keywords, it's going to help you in your rankings for your SEO as well. This ties in so well with Google in so many ways. What we want to do is we want to list every job experience we have. So if you do a commercial job for a company, or if you're doing for the photographers, or if you're doing a consulting job for a firm, for some of our speakers, list that in there. Put that in. There are different positions. When I was on the PPNC, the Professional Photographic Certification Commission, that is listed there. The times that I spoke as a speaker for social networking for various events, we put that in there. So you can see right in here. Now, what we will see here is where these folks have recommended me. And what you do on each one of these events, when you do a job for someone as a consultant or a photographer, you could list your wedding events. That's a job. Put your couple in there and have them connect with you on LinkedIn. This is a great way to get a testimonial, a working testimonial that really show up in your search results. What happens here is I was just at the North Carolina convention. What we've done is I've listed what I talked about, the program that was presented, and Victoria Kelly has then given me a recommendation on that job. What we've done here, when we were on a photo training tour, we've had folks who were at the events, they've written back written recommendations. So then when we do Super Mondays, the students have talked to us about that. Other events, when we were mentoring and a Photoshop coaching, I had the two guys that were in charge of that. They recommended me. That's another job as a consultant. So every time you do something, make sure you list those in there. Any courses or classes that you take, you want to make sure you get those in there. If you start a project, and this I'm guilty of not working quite as hard as I should, but we can do projects. And what we would do with a project is maybe you're doing something for charity, doing an event, or maybe you have some other thing that you're marketing, you wanted to work something in your marketing department. But you put that in as a project. It'll list those inside that area, which then gets us down to this skill sets, your skill and expertise. So you'll see these little marks in here, and these are endorsements. they're a little bit different than what recommendations now. Now the importance of a recommendation, and let's just go back. We'll backtrack here briefly. We can look at this right in here. We want to look at the original recommendations. So what we would do is here is I'll just come over to recommendations, and then I can say I can manage those. So right in here, say this one has 10 visible recommendations. You can go back and read all of those as they will have turned out from those folks who were in attendance of that program during those times. You can backtrack here. You can go back. There's 7 of those. Some of them have none. And one of the things we want to do is not forget to ask for those recommendations. We actually have to ask for them too. So that's the hardest part sometimes, is we oftentimes forget exactly what we're doing, to ask for the sale. We forget, it's one of those things you get busy in everyday uses. So it's really easy to forget what we're doing. So if you want to ask for a recommendation, you would find which job experience you're asking for that for. And then, because we know that this was the program that I'm doing now, and this is the one I did for North Carolina, if there was someone at the convention that I know was there, I'm going to ask them for a recommendation. So we would then punch in their email, who was there, and so I would actually, his would be and that would be it. Now you can leave this generic message in there, but I would recommend, to make it more personal, that you type in your own information. Don't use the generic stuff. It's just kind of, I think it's very impersonal when you're asking for, in relationship building, if you're asking for a recommendation, to put in the very generic stuff here. It sometimes happens. It's easy to do, but then I would write a little thing in there. Now I've already sent that to Rick, so I'm not going to send him another one. But say I want to actually give a recommendation, what we could do is I could then pull up, let's see, we'll pull up Danny's profile, and he's right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'll show you a quick endorsement of him. So I know Danny's a good public speaker. He knows social media. He knows SEO and Facebook, and he's excellent at customer service. So I can give him a quick endorsement. Now that's going to open up a whole myriad of other things here, of other connections that we have. You can choose to endorse all 4, or you could say, I just want to close this and move on. I don't really have time to mess with this today. But those are a quick way to give your recommendation and add validity to a contact. So if someone is a 2nd or 3rd degree connection and they're looking for someone in your field, they can scroll down to the bottom of the screen, and I can look and say, wow, he knows blogging. He's got a lot of referrals on that, recommendations. He's been endorsed for trade shows because he's excellent at working the trade show. So I can see exactly some of those things that are right inside here that make him what he is. So I would know that he's going to be good at what he does based upon the characters of other folks who are working there. Now, let's say I want to give him a recommendation. So I could actually come up here, and we'll do a recommendations. Before I go there, though, I just want to show the ones that are given. These are ones that I have given others. So you can always go back and look at who you've endorsed and given a recommendation to before I move forward onto that. And then we'll get into showing what it's like to accept requests. But I want to really talk about what the importance of endorsements and recommendations are. Let's get back to Danny's profile here. And then so we'll come down. We can look at his background, his summary. And you'll see here he's got recommendations right there on his account specialist, everything that he's done. So we'll be right inside there, and we can look at all his education, and we'll know that, and now we can see that he's received 4. I guess I forgot I've already given Danny a recommendation, so, and then I could give him another one if we want to do that, or maybe we should give Jen a shout out too, because I know how well she's done for us, and we'll give Danny another one too. So we can always look right down there, and then you can see what areas he's been given a recommendation to. So we'll pop in there. You can also see what groups a person is following as we're making a connection. You can also review all their connections that they have and what news he follows, various companies and whatnot. So, and then the groups. We'll scroll back up. And I know Danny's helped me many a time, so with many, and now we can actually find his contact information. So you can have all of that right inside there, and his email as well. And then we have this comes up again. So now what's happened there is you saw we endorsed him before. Now we have 4 other options on these skill sets that's popped up with Constant Contact, webinars, Google+, GoToMeeting, and newsletters. We can endorse him again for that, which then adds that, and then that'll send that. So if we want to say we'll endorse all 4 of those, we can do that. You could sit here and do this all day. I don't recommend that, but it's kind of funny to see how many times something will scroll up. So that can happen from time to time. One of the things we want to do is if we're going to add connections. Adding connections is very simple. They'll come to your inbox just like this, and you'll see I have currently 1 invitation. I can go to my invitations box, and here's a young man that I coached baseball for many moons ago. That makes me sound a whole lot older than I really am, but I would go ahead and accept his invitation, and then it's also going to tell me other people that I may know. So I can then accept that, and then you'll see all these other folks that are kind of connected in many ways. I've known Karen and I've worked with her before, so I want to show you. What we would do is if you want to add someone as a connection, my recommendation is, again, don't make it an impersonal connection by just whatever's there. Type this in and say, hey, Karen. In this case, I've met her at many conventions, PPA, including we have mutual friends in Michigan as well. And I just talked to her and saw her again at the North Carolina convention. So I would say something like, great to see you at PPNC, hope all is well, and hope would love to connect with you. And there we go, since I ran out of space, we'll just say love to connect, and then we'll send the invitation. It just makes it a little more personal. Now, we'll go back to my profile again. I want to complete going down through there and show you a few other things. Again, you'll have this area is going to show people you may know. You can funnel through that, and then you can kind of keep running through, and you'll see if you want to connect with someone. These are ads. There'll never be more than 3 in this area right here. Sometimes they're just like this, jobs and leads. It picks up on the things that you have posted. It has whatever you might have inside there. What you do most, it's going to try to find them and gear them towards you. It's a pretty smart little algorithm there. Now, here's where it's going to say who's viewed your profile. I have the non-paid version of this profile, so it tells me that my profile has been viewed by 10 people in the past 3 days. I can click on that. Then I can look and see. It'll tell you who's looked at your profile. Now, it's not always accurate. It'll say someone in the photographic industry. So I can click that, and it will give me a sampling of who might have viewed it that's connected on here in some way. So you don't, without paying for it, there is an upgraded version you can pay for. I don't recommend it unless you're a headhunter or a job seeker or someone who's looking to hire folks. That's great, because then you can get some really detailed information on folks that have put their stuff in here. You can really find and track down things. I did have a friend of mine back in Indiana whose wife found a job, a very good job, and it was all through LinkedIn. It was all perfect timing. They realized what she had with her recommendations and who her referrals were and references were. They hired her on the spot to work from home for them. A very good job in the marketing department. So that was an awesome story from them. And then it'll tell me that 48 times I've showed up in results in the past day. So someone has been searching for something that I do, and I've showed up in their results. That number fluctuates anywhere from 48 to 79 times. I think one time I've hit 100. And then it'll tell you other folks that people have viewed that have viewed similar profiles to mine. So then it's going to give you an area to connect with there. And here again, you'll see my work experience. And then where I can share my profile, I can click connect that, and it will share it out on Facebook or Twitter. So if you want to do that from time to time to build your following, you can. And then more sponsored ads. And then it'll start scrolling down through your profile to view all the other aspects. And then you'll see the skill sets and expertise and certifications. Now these little things right here are really handy. You want to make sure when you look inside here, when you go to your profile, we'll go to Edit Profile, and when you go to your skill set, this is one of the areas that's not talked about a lot. They're going to give they're going to give you several preset ones. You have to pick at least one of the preset. Now you can put up to 50 skill sets in here. And this is where you pick, once you pick your first skill set that they force you into, you can then custom create your own skill sets after that. And then you're good to go. Then you can delete those, you can move them in and out. You can put your certifications in here. You want to add all those things that you've certified in. All your education, it's worth adding that in there just to really get that profile beefed up. And then any additional info that you want to share with the community, you'll put right here. And then we can put advice for contacting Lou. Email is best, I would say. It's hard to keep up with the phone sometimes. And then honors and awards. And this is another one I'm bad about forgetting to put the things into, that we can put that in there. And then your organizations. Any organizations you're a part of, make sure to list. They may actually already be on here, so you can connect in more ways than that. Then you can put here's your recommendations. You can delete them if you want to. I wouldn't advise that. They just do you well. And then, of course, we got all of our groups that it belong to, and then the connections as well, and then any companies that you're following as well. So I will make sure to connect over there, and then you can follow that and go over there. And then what you'll see is their information will come up in your news feed. Now then, we've got a like there on the update, which is awesome, and then we've got another opportunity to connect. Hello, Chuck. How are you today? Thanks for the connection. So we'll go back to here. Now, one of the other things I love each day is I get on here and I check my LinkedIn today. This is kind of like having your own newspaper that's out there for you as well. I get a lot of source on branding, sales, and marketing. Comes right through here. And sometimes it's just nice to have some inspiration in so many things. So one of the cool aspects, if you see something that you like, say like right here, they've got 20 critical do's and don'ts for clickable calls to action. I can save that. So if I know that I want to go back later on and look at one of these articles, but I don't have time today, I can just click on save and save. And then later on, when I want to go back to these, I can go back to saved articles. This is pure genius because I don't know how many times I've surfed on something and seen an article and thought I bookmarked it and apparently didn't and can't find it. So we can, put our like on it. We can also save those articles for review. I'm getting a little ahead of myself there, but that was just one of those little tips to get your day off to a positive start that I really like to do. Now, we've talked about making the connection, and one of the things that I like to do is make those personal when we do connections. You can also then search for people in many ways this way. So say, now I know I want to connect with maybe a couple more folks from PhotoBiz. So we're gonna I know their name. So there she is right there. And I want to connect with Joanne. So I'm going to come over here, click connect, and then what's going to happen is it's going to ask you to invite them to connect on here. So then what you want to do is you want to talk about, it's going to ask you various things. You could say, I don't know them, and it'll let you go through. Or you could say, you're a friend or other. If it's other, they're going to ask you for the email address. Because we've worked together basically at PhotoBiz, I'm going to say, we've worked with here. And there again, put your personal note in. And it doesn't have to be long, just we're going to utilize that and love what you do. So now we've sent a warm greeting there. Now, another way to connect is when you have, maybe we want to get an introduction. So we'll go to our connections, and I'm going to go over here to Carl from PhotoBiz, and we're going to find Carl Yance. Now, sometimes you might have a second or third degree connection. Now, here's something that's really kind of cool. You can find out how you're connected to folks and what skill sets or expertise sets you all might share. So sometimes this number can be between 1 and 50 depending upon who you're trying to connect with. Now what it's going to do is it's going to tell me who I'm connected to Carl through. So say I want to get introduced to Carl. So you're looking as a business who you want to do business with someone else, but you don't know them really well. However, you've got 3 connections that might be absolutely incredibly close to that. I'll come over here and I'll put Danny in, and I'll say, hey Danny, I know you know Carl, really want to get to know him better, so, and we'll just put a Y in here for time's sake. and I'll just say, Danny, great work today. Would you help me connect to Carl? And then we'll come up with something. I know Carl's a design expert, and then, or whatever area it might be that you would work with. You can just state your case there, and then Danny can then, for what happens with Danny is he'll get a request to send to Carl to tell Carl that someone would like to connect to him. So I think this is a cool way to connect that's not so impersonal. And if you have 2 or 3 connections to someone, you can that he can then help you get connected with somewhere. And I'm going to show you some other things on the job section that's really pretty cool too. I've utilized that in many ways. I get a chuckle out of it. Each week I get each day I get an email that shows me 4 or 5 jobs that I may be interested in. Well, none of them I'm really ever interested in. I like doing my own thing. But there was one job last year when it was particularly cold and I was snowed in, and it said wedding photographer for Hawaii. And I thought, who really wouldn't want to be that guy? So as I'm looking to see what kind of areas I'm connected, I did not know the owner of that company, but I did know 7 of the people that she was connected to very well. I mean, to the point I could pick up the phone and call them at any time. That if a person is looking for a job, that for the most part is, can pretty much hand that job to you when you know someone so close like that. It's just awesome, the power of this connection tool over so many other aspects. And then I could learn from. So we'll just do that, and then what we do is we will send this on, and then we just send him the request. So then it lets you know that he's been sent. So it's really pretty cool. We get that. So we got a few likes going on here. And then what happens is I get notified that Joanne is now a connection. So hello, Joanne. Nice to see you. And then we've got an email here. Thanks, Lois, for the kind shout-outs. Yeah, I miss Indiana too. But life is so good right here. I just can't shake it. So anyway, thanks again. And then so we'll come back to our home profile, and then you'll see some things have changed there as well. You get another little inbox message. We'll go back to this profile because I want to show you a few more things down there. So back to that second link connection. So it's just incredible how you can kind of utilize those things to connect. Let's see. We'll find some Tom Rouse or something like that. I know. Now here we go. We're going to kind of come over here. There we go. We can endorse Tom there. And then as we show like what we have in common with Tom, when I was talking about skills and expertise, so with Tom here, we have the Professional Photographers of America, which is a company that's listed on here, so it's showing how we're connected, and then shows our skill sets as well. So there you go, and you see he's got quite a load of endorsements there too. So there we go, and then there we go. We got the endorsements again. This can be a bit annoying when all these pop up, or you can just simply close it out and ignore it until you want to come back to it later. But those endorsements are nice. Now, as far as you can add your schools in, now here's one way I suggest not to adding connections is this email thing. That gets to be kind of crazy. You can accidentally invite all 12 or 1,500 people in your email book. If you want to do that, that's fine. Sometimes they've already been connected, and then it just kind of resends things. So I know some folks get kind of annoyed at that. This is kind of a bad way because sometimes you just have people that have emailed you that you really don't know and maybe you didn't really want to make part of the connection with. So that's kind of a good thing to steer clear of. As we go through the bar here, we'll just kind of roll through what LinkedIn's top bars are. So I can go to my groups. One of the things with groups that's really fun is a good way to make connections. You'll find we have the social media for photographers. So I haven't worked this group as hard as I would like to, but it is something that we're going to kick off and work much harder this year. So we'll start posting it and building it. I've got a whole lot of new things going on with the social media group that we're planning. Then we have the other groups that I belong to. We have a blog on, and some of them require membership approval. This MyLink 500 is what they call an open networkers source for LinkedIn, and basically when you join a group like that, or you might see it projected as what's called a Lion group, Lion, which is a LinkedIn open network, which says that you will accept the membership or accept the connection request from anyone that's in there. Now we have the Ace of Sales user community, a great sales group, the Adobe Photoshop group. It's a great place to learn and then make new connections for what you do. You can get in and read posts. People can ask questions. LinkedIn has done away with what used to be to show your expertise. LinkedIn used to have ask a question, and then you could as a LinkedIn user go over and answer the question. The more questions you answered, the more expertise you kind of built in your area. But they've done away with that. I'm not sure if they're going to bring that back. It was a very popular area, but I think now they're just hoping people will do more with their groups. So when folks will set up and put a group together, you can join that and then look for advice, motivation, or inspiration. So you can post those links when you find something your group might be interested to. But it's a great way to make new connections, or you can run a poll. So if you're wanting to test some products out, it's a great way to ask others. You can put together your own test market group right inside there. So I'm a member of several groups. You can, it's not a bad thing to be a part of. Then if you want, you can then create your own groups as well. So that's another thing to do to show your expertise, and then you'll get to build that in your area, especially if you do a lot of teaching or other things. It's a great way to build that. For a person that wants to find a job, basically based upon input that you've put on your job experience, it's going to show you all the places that have jobs available, and then it'll kind of tell you what they are, and then it'll move through here, and then we can go into jobs that are in my network area. So whenever you list a network, what you would have to do is it's going to show you, for the job hunter, certain things that are out there that are looking for what fits some of the things that, again, that have been keyworded in my work experience, in my background. So it's always going to list you some really fun stuff that comes through here. So it's kind of neat just to see some of the jobs that are available. And I used to get a chuckle out of folks that tell me, I'm looking for a job but I can't find anything, and we would go set it down on LinkedIn and literally find almost 10,000 availabilities for something that was in their area. Now some of it wasn't necessarily in their living areas, but in their job description there were many opportunities, and at least 25 to 30 in their living area. So it really was a good place to start. You can find talent on here too, so you can this is a new feature as well. So there's some cool things in it that I'm not sure where this is taking me now. So you can do, these are kind of some demos and some beta things that are going on. So if folks that are recruiters, this will be more available to them, but there's some pretty cool stuff coming from LinkedIn. So it's just getting more and more powerful all the time. And then, of course, you got the Job Seeker Premium. If you want to hire someone, you can post a job up on here. As for companies, you can go over here, and then you can search for companies. And so if you want to do some research, say if you're wanting to know about a company you're going to be doing some work for, you can find out a lot about them and how many people are in your network. So if you want to really connect to a company, find out who's in your network and how you can then connect to them as well. So that's another great thing about this company search. Then I can come up and I can see which companies I'm following as well. So what's going to happen is if I'm following these companies, anytime something is posted regarding news on them, it comes up in the news feed. And then we'll get back over here. I want to look at this. As some people will inquire whether or not it's worth upgrading. It's pretty salty for the upgrade. And like I say, you can get out of the free aspect. You can truly do more, do as much out of the free network for your own personal stuff as you would ever need by going ahead and paying for the upgrade. It's not truly something you would have to do. I wouldn't recommend it. But if someone is a recruiter or a headhunter for other companies, it's great for them. They're, one, they're getting paid to do that stuff, but two, they would utilize it in finding exactly what they're looking for. You can then search again over in here. You can also turn off the suggestions if you don't want to see information that would come through. Take it back to the home section here. Now I want to do, basically we'll go back and show about how to do the recommendations. So now we've got Jen up here, so I can go ahead, I pull her up, I'll give her the endorsement there. Let's just close this for now. We're not going to do that. Then we can scroll down, we can find out how many connections we have in common. So we have the PhotoBiz group in common, and we have the social media skill as something also that's listed. And then we have other folks. So if you know someone in a similar area or similar job, you can then connect with them if you wanted to. So it's really simple to find that out, who someone's connected to. And then if you're looking for someone that's in a similar job area, we can also then go down through the entire aspect there, read the entire profile, and then honors and awards. So she's done everybody here's really done a good job at filling out their profiles and keeping up with it, which is obvious. They're doing really great. And so we are our first connection. When you see these little ones up here, that is the first connection, second connection, and then you will go so far as to have third connections as well. So that's not uncommon to have a third connection clear out with someone that's not connected to too much of anyone in your network. So we've got another update. So we'll get that. Go back home here. One of the other things I wanted to show you is we'll talk about the power of connections and how they multiply. So right now we have 692 connections in the LinkedIn network. That gives me a link to 8,938,326 professionals in my area. New people that have been added to my network since March 17th has been 26,107. That's by simply adding 3 new connections. So it's pretty crazy how quickly your connections can grow when you stay active with this. And then again, back to the profile section, again we got more people we may know. And then it also will give you some suggestions on companies you may want to follow that I don't already follow. Another fun aspect. Now, what I want to do is I want to give, we'll just go ahead, since I give Danny the recommendation, I want to give Jen the recommendation on this. And we can do another endorsement, so we'll just be an endorsement day. How's that? And then we will scroll down to, another thing too, before I get too far out of whack here, is there's always a help center. So you can always go into this and search for questions or answers. So we'll come down, we'll scroll down to our recommendations, and we'll do a simple recommendation. Make a recommendation. So we'll scroll down, and basically what I've done is I recommend pre-writing your recommendation so you can make sure you proofread it and everything's good. So it's going to send this, and then what I'm going to do is I've hired them to be a service provider for our my company, and we click on that. So now then we're going to find what her position is here, and then this may not actually have the right kind of, there we go, and I think it was about back in there, and we'll just click on that, and then we're just going to choose the 3 results. I mean, you know, on this, I think we could give everything there. So we'll just do that, and then I've already written the profile, so we will just stamp it in there, and then that's as simple as that. What happens is when you fill out all that stuff, you'll send it to that person. They will get it. It comes to their email box. Now I've written another one for Danny as well, so we're going to go back and give him another one, because it's quite possible that you can do more than one recommendation, because sometimes a person is in more, they're doing more than one job at a company or one position or one experience. So for instance, in his case, in my case, some of my job titles have changed. So what I would do is I would send a recommendation or request a recommendation for more than one thing. So we can always give more than one of those. But I think we are running close on time, so if we have any questions, we can take the next 10-15 minutes, because we've kind of only gone through about half of the stuff to two-thirds of what we would like to do. We probably can come back and do a, based upon our questions, we can do another segment on more precision aspects of LinkedIn. But I know I don't like to run over the whole hour, so everybody, we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to spend an hour with us. So we want to kind of answer any questions you might have. So, Danny, if there are any questions out there, we can kind of throw back at.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to see you guys throw in some questions here, and we do have some that are waiting. I requested a recommendation for my first role here at PhotoBiz, which was as a client support agent. So,
Okay.
it'll probably come up right there, and that's
it.
what
Yes. Okay. We definitely want to show this because this is the confusing part about some of these. When a person gets a request a referral, basically a recommendation, sometimes it's really tough for, we end up sending back an email, but we don't really hit it right. So we want to make sure we cover that. So what I'm going to do is basically, this is my information here, and we will just say to him, sure, we will help you out. I have had this happen to me where a person has just sent back a message and said, sure. And that was the recommendation. So we don't want to do that. So what I will do is this is where we will take the recommendation I had for Danny on that, and I can copy and paste that right in there. And then what he's done is he's requested for where he was at with what he did before. This is awesome. All you have to do is basically put that in there and then send that back. There's his recommendation, and now you have just written a recommendation for him. He'll probably get 2 emails back. He gets one saying you've been recommended, and then what will happen is it will go on his timeline. He has the option to review that and accept it, or he can request another revision. So if someone doesn't necessarily write something, or you find that there's some spelling mistakes or something like that, or maybe they had a position wrong, you can then say, write the person back and say, oh, yeah, could we tweak this a little bit? Thank you for helping me out. I really appreciate it. And then send that back. So that's how we do that. But that's that simple to rewrite a recommendation.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you for that. And so we do have some questions here, and we're going to go ahead and work our way through them. So this question comes from Tricia. Tricia asked, I've heard that you should only connect with people you know well. Do you advise that, Lou?
I advise that and then some, especially if you're selling yourself and you want to. There's no reason why you should ever hide from someone, especially in doing what we do. If we're working in sales and or marketing ourselves, the more connected we are to the more people we are, the better off we are. If I were only connected to photographers, they're not going to buy from me. So, for me to turn someone away is really silly in the fact that I want to know people. I want to know who's the marketing director at the local, basically where I got a lead for indoor for a headshots job was through a marketing director of a metallurgy company. So I did not know them, but they knew that I had services that they needed in this area with the commercial photography and the location setup. So, I was not even connected to them via any other connections, but I'm glad that I accepted that connection because that led to a job.
All right, and next question here comes in from Meg, and Meg asks, let's say you're going to release a new book. What would be a good way to make that announcement on LinkedIn?
I would actually, there's a multitude of ways to do that. For writers especially, or if you've got a book, releasing small segments via your LinkedIn and Twitter will gather you more followings. If you can pull out some interesting segments of that and start posting them up on here, that'd be a great way for your book release. You can build a little bit of a buzz before your book is sent out. But Twitter is one of the best places for writers, especially when they can put out small, 140 character snippets of things that are intriguing. People want to know more. So that's going to, even maybe including a chapter of the book to build some interest of that somewhere along the way. Huge way for you to build the buzz on your book as well.
All right. And we do have a question from Ron. Ron asks, how can I send messages to all of my contacts on LinkedIn? Seems like I'm limited to sending out 50 at a time. Is this true? I'll let you touch base on that one, Lou.
Yeah, that's true, just because of potential spamming. It's kind of like a lot of the things with Facebook as well. So if you want to share something, I would share it as an update in many ways, and then you can share that with all your contacts. I would not advise, though, emails to large quantities on there, just from a personal standpoint of not liking to get those group threads. Think about that as like the Facebook emails that go out when they do those 140 people on one email to other people, and then when someone replies, it keeps threading through. So, and you start seeing people leave that network, it can turn into nightmares. So I would do it as an update.
All right. And Dave had a question. Dave just wanted to know if we're going to post the webinar online. And yes, you can review it on our YouTube channel. And let's see. We have another question here from Meg, second question. What heading do you go to for setting up the announcement, if you can quickly walk them through?
Oh, sure. You would go to the home profile, and then what I would do is you just go into share an update. So one of the things that we do too is I do a weekly segment. It's an email segment and you can opt in on my fan page on Facebook through the Luby fan page, and we do some LinkedIn tips and tutorials. So if I'll just make a post, it would be something like that, and then what we would do is I can put in my link, help if I could spell, and then just update it that way. And just go to your home page. I would have thought that would have put me into my fan page, but I guess it didn't. It didn't want to go there. So not sure why that did it that way. Oh, it's short. It gave me a short code, so that's why. But you can do that. Just make an update, and if you wanted to send that out on there from your LinkedIn home, and then share an update. So, and you can go there. But what we do is I send out weekly updates just on little tips on LinkedIn that I've done over the years and how to build some things up. So we usually send those out on Sunday afternoons. So you can sign up there on the fan page under one of my tabs for LinkedIn updates.
All right. Well, I thank you for answering that, Lou. And so just to kind of touch base, overall as LinkedIn here, as we discuss and kind of wrap up our presentation today, I think we've answered all of the questions that come up. But, any kind of final thoughts about LinkedIn or for photographers in general or small businesses, just to get, take advantage of it, tips?
Right. Take advantage of basically all the job experiences, talking about what you've done and doing the referrals and the connections, the recommendations, especially when you get those, when you can look at someone's profile and you can say, I respect and value this person's opinion, and then you go over and you look and they've got written testimonials right there. That's awesome. We're always talking about getting testimonials for our businesses and various other products and things. Well, we too oftentimes don't take the opportunity to get testimonials for ourselves, and this is really a good place to do that. So by all means, take advantage of that. Take advantage of keywording the writings that are inside your profile over here. When you come up with your tagline, if you utilize a tagline in your as I was telling Danny when we started the show, I went to this coolest guy in the Midwest tagline, and I got tired. So many times we talk about, you say I'm a photographer, and someone will say, my granddaughter just bought a camera, and she's had it for 3 weeks, and she's doing amazing photography and doing it for everybody else. I got kind of tired of saying that, so I no longer said I was a photographer. I just would tell people that I was the coolest guy in the Midwest. Well, they would Google it to see what it was, and then they would come back with, wow, you're a photographer. You're a much better photographer than my granddaughter is, who just bought her camera. So it was no longer I had a camera, I was a photographer. It was, this is what you do. So you can come up with your hub statement, and you can kind of keyword that through your things. But always take advantage of all your experiences. We all have experiences in so many things that can then connect us to others. So if I hadn't listed some of my outside experience in marketing and sales and other things, I would not have been connected to the marketing directors that I have been, who put me in line for some of the jobs that we get on the commercial basis as we transition through, moving 3 states away, and basically doing so many different things. It's a way to connect really quickly. So take advantage of all your wealth of experience.
Okay, great. Well, it looks like, Lou, we have wrapped everything up today. All the questions in here seem to have been answered. And if you guys do have any additional questions, obviously you can see that it's very easy to find Lou online, whether you're searching for the coolest guy in the Midwest or just Lou Everling. So be sure to find him online, follow him up for some great different tips on social media, photography as well, and leave him a comment if you enjoyed his webinar today. And you can do that either on his Luby Facebook fan page, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, take your pick. So, all right, well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap everything up today. I just wanted to thank Lou again for creating the presentation today and joining us, and to all the different attendees who joined us today. So thank you again, Lou.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. It's always fun.
Oh, absolutely. All right, everyone. Well, this is going to conclude our episode of PhotoBiz Live. I hope everybody has a great day.
Thanks. You too, David.